Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome to another week. I'm your host H from Harry Cinematic Universe, and with me is.
Big Mike from Big Mike's Real Reviews.
And usually we will come at you with just one movie review, but we saw a bunch. We saw a
busy week,
bruh. So we got 4 movies we're gonna talk about, and of course the Superman trailer dropped today.
That too.
We're gonna hit that off. So I'm going to leap right in with Kraven. I promise you I'm not gonna stay long on that one. Look, all I can say is I don't know what's going on over there at Sony, but on the plus side, it wasn't as bad as Venom, but on the minus side, Sony's still showing that you got people over there doing stuff in the Spider-Man universe and don't know how to create characters.
Right. And there's so many conflicting, stories behind it too. Like they're ending the universe, they're not ending the universe. They're going to bring in a Spider-Man. They always could bring in a Spider-Man, but we thought they couldn't bring a Spider-Man because of the Marvel deal. It's so many conflicting stories coming out of Sony right now. But the fact of the matter is they make shitty movies. And yes, Kraven was the best one out of all of the Sony verse movies, in my opinion, but it's not saying much. It was still garbage. Not that good. Yeah.
It was still hot garbage.
Exactly.
And my thing was and I cannot remember his name because I tried. Matter of fact, let me tell you how bad I've been trying to put this movie out of my brain. So the next movie we're going to talk about, War of the Rohirrim. I went to go see that with my wife. Right.
I have not seen that yet, and I want to see it.
Now, mind you, we had just gone a couple of days ago, so we're in the theater, and I looked at my wife and said, "Oh, did I tell you how bad Kraven was?" She looked at me. I said, "Yeah, that's how bad it was."
Wow. Yeah, it was like you're trying to tell her how bad it was. She was like, "I was sitting right there next to you."
Oops. I mean, the thing was, okay, so the low lights for me was the fact that the main actor they had playing Kraven, he did not have like that 1,000-yard stare look.
No.
Okay.
And that's the thing. I love Aaron Taylor Johnson. However, he should not have been Kraven. He should not have been Kraven.
No, I don't care if he was kick-ass years ago. That was years ago, but you needed someone not only physically imposing, but like I said, had that look like they done seen some things.
Right. He was a little bit still like too fresh-faced.
Right.
To be Kraven.
Too baby-faced to be that. Yeah.
Yes.
Actual upside, believe it or not, was Russell Crowe.
Oh yeah.
And the person that played Rhino, I loved them. They were made
until he became Rhino.
Yeah.
Until he became Rhino, yes. His character development was okay. And then once he became Rhino, it's like, what the hell is this? And then it's funny because I saw a meme the other day. It said, whenever the Sony universe introduces a Rhino is when it dies.
Yeah.
Because with the Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man, like then that, that was no more. And now that universe is, maybe gone. We'll see.
And the worst part about it is they, apparently Sony didn't learn from 20th Century Fox's mistake of what they did with Vinnie Jones as Juggernaut.
Yes.
Because
you can't dumb it down. Stop dumbing it down.
Yeah. It's like if you needed the CGI the hell out of it, same way they did Mark Ruffalo to make him Hulk.
Right.
You could have did this with Rhino because Rhino is about that size.
And I think it would have been better to even do it as like a suit. So here's an example. The PlayStation Spider-Man games. Rhino in that one, it's more of a mechanical suit.
It's more of a
and in the comics, it's more of like, an organic suit. In those games, it's more of a mechanical suit. You could have even done that, and I feel like it would have cost the same budget-wise.
They could have did the same thing like they did with the Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans and ran along that route too.
Yeah, but I see that suit. I hated that because it wasn't more like a suit. It was kind of like a mech.
Right.
It still needs to be a suit.
Anything would have been better than this.
Yes.
That's the point I'm making. And more to the point, if you really want to get a more compelling Kraven and Venom story,
Yeah.
get the Spider-Man 2 video game.
Yeah. They did it perfectly.
Yeah.
Insomniac, I'm sorry. I sing Insomniac's praises all the time. Insomniac is probably, in my opinion, the best, if not one of the best video game studios out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
All they put out is fire.
Yes. And Kraven was a dumpster fire.
Yep, it was.
100%.
100%.
Moving right along. So next up is War of the Rohirrim.
Yes.
It was put this way. I don't know anyone that asked for an anime version of a Lord of the Rings story. Okay. Yeah. Not to say that this was bad, but it wasn't good either. It was somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
And really, it was like the Battle of Helm's Deep before there was a Battle of Helm's Deep. It really didn't move the needle on ring lore, save to say, well, if you just wanted some Lord of the Rings in anime form, this is it.
Okay.
So,
and I've heard good and bad things. I think it's just everything is subjective, right?
Yeah.
But I've watched reviews on it, and I've heard people say that they really liked it, and I've heard people say, like, you know, your opinion on it, where it was like, and I've heard people say they really didn't like it. So
yeah, don't get me wrong, it's a good story, you know, based on the two tribes of the Rohirrim that were going at each other's throats for simple beef / misunderstanding.
Yeah,
but to do it like this is like, okay. That's one of those that actually could have been put on Prime.
Yeah. And I feel like they were still, because this is in the Peter Jackson universe, they just kind of cash in on something that was like, you know, beloved.
Yeah. So, moving right along. So next up, you saw Sonic.
Yes. See, now this was done right. So here's the thing. The Sonic movies, it depends on what kind of fan you are. If you are a Sonic fan, that's why these movies are popular, right?
Yeah.
Because they make these movies for the Sonic fans. The director of this movie also previously got his directorial debut in one of the older Sonic games, and I believe it was Sonic's X Shadow. So very familiar with the Sonic universe. So many callbacks to like even that game that I just mentioned in particular with this, you know, movie. So I feel like every Sonic movie is a love letter to their fans. Now, if you're not into the Sonic movies, you saw the first two ones, like, this one's not going to be for you because it's pretty much the same. But for me, it was the same in a good way, because if you're a Sonic fan and you're watching these movies, you're like, this is giving me everything I want, just like the previous two movies. They just keep building on it. Yeah. It's literally, like I said, it's made for Sonic fans. It's a love letter to Sonic fans, and Sonic fans will love it and eat it up.
So it seems like we're getting to a point now where movie studios are learning what makes video game movies good, but only if you have people that are invested in the game that's taking time. Because remember, this is what we were talking about yesterday, like with Uncharted. There was no need to make the movie the way they did it if whomever was working with it didn't understand what made those games tick.
Exactly.
You know?
It was just like, hey, what, you know, big names can we get for these characters, and not like, how do we fit, you know, an actor who fits this character?
Right.
You can't just like pick anybody or be, you know, and say just work it around this person. No, that's not how it's supposed to work.
That's not.
You're supposed to find an actor that fits for that character.
Yeah. And I just thought about it too, really quick. I want to slide this in too, since we're talking about video games and movies and stuff, kind of going in the opposite direction of I look at it like this. If you haven't heard it by now, you've been hiding under a rock. But the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle game.
Yeah, you were telling me.
Yeah, on the Xbox. If you got a PS5, it'll be out sometime next year. But by God, again, same way like you had a director that did his homework on the Sonic games to make this movie great. It's the opposite with Indiana Jones, where the people over at Machine Games knew what made Indiana Jones movies tick and managed to put it in a game.
Yeah.
And what I love so much about it is the simple fact that it didn't feel like an Uncharted clone or a Tomb Raider clone, even though both of those games owe their existence to Indiana Jones.
Exactly.
They still managed to take the Indiana Jones experience, being in disguise, trying to be more stealthy. And if you're going to fight, you're using your gun as the last option to make a game.
Yeah.
And I mean, they got so much right, like the lighting, the cut scenes, the villain is over the top. Like there's so much to love about this game.
And even Troy Baker as the voice of like a young Harrison Ford, he nailed
Yes.
it. Like I thought it was Harrison Ford.
Right.
When I watched like the trailer and gameplay.
He killed it. He really killed it on the performance. And I'm far enough in, but I'm not that far in. I'm on like maybe the third level where you're in the Himalayas and you have to find something that's way out of place.
Okay.
That. But I am having so much fun with this game. This is one of those games I'm not rushing to get through. This is one of those games you want to play and savor it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move from that, and then now we'll talk about Mufasa.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead.
Mufasa. Sequel to the live action. I say live action because it's made to look live action, but it's still all CG. Or it's a prequel, right? To the Lion King. Now, the way they did it was like it's Rafiki telling the story basically of Mufasa, and it's basically like a flashback. The whole movie's like a flashback.
Right.
Was it a good movie? Yeah, it actually was a pretty good movie. Did anyone ask for this movie, or did anyone want to really have this movie made? And was like, you know what? I really need to know the story of Mufasa and Scar before the Lion King. No, no one cared because you got the Lion King. That was enough. This was a cash grab, right? You could tell.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a super good cash grab. It was kind of like, okay, this is a cash grab. We know it's a cash grab. It's a pretty good movie. I'm surprised it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But still, it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
If I'm still feeling, even though it's a pretty good movie and I'm still feeling it's unnecessary, then there's a problem.
Right. I look at it like this. This is one of those movies I feel like Disney needed to make sure that they got those CGI live action. Like, we got to get at least one out a year, so we need to fill this quota. So that's what they did. Now, having said that, looking at it from your point of view, because I feel the same way, so I'm not going to echo it too much, but I look at it like this. If this is something that your kids want to go see, because I look at it like this. Animation and how kids see animation now is way different than how we saw animation coming up.
100%.
This still technically falls under the whole thing of animation.
It does.
And for me as a grown adult watching this movie, I felt the kind of a way like the whole idea of like the whole movie is going to be CGI'd animals.
Yes.
And the hardest part about doing this kind of a movie is it's hard for them to emote.
Exactly.
Because you still want to try to have some of the quote unquote realism of these are actual animals, but they can talk.
Right. But they did do it better than the previous one.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. I didn't see the previous one just for the same reason why I just said like you already had a good animated movie. Why are we CGI in this one?
Exactly.
And the thing of it is, like I said, I feel a kind of a way when they do these kinds of movies because like I saw Jungle Book. I liked Jungle Book. Jungle Book was good. Yeah. But I think everything after that, besides Aladdin, is just like you already got good animated cartoon features. Why are we going back and dipping in the well to CGI the crap out of them? And like you said, even though this technically is a new story, it's still set in the same Simbaverse.
Yeah. And again, I never sat there and said, you know what? I want to know the story of a young Mufasa and a young Scar. I never said that.
Right.
I like it. That thought never entered my mind. So it's like, you're really reaching here.
They reached out, they grabbed, and they ran with it. And
Yep.
whether or not it does anything this weekend, who knows?
Remains to be seen.
Remains to be seen. I mean, and granted, like they had some good singing, and to piggyback off what you said, yes, they had a really compelling story.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, but still, I was still sitting there like, yes, this is pretty good, but it's unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
It's unnecessary.
Right.
This does not change the narrative of The Lion King whatsoever.
Because you know what's going to happen to Mufasa.
Right. It doesn't even build on it, in my opinion. It's like, okay, this was a pretty good movie, but I could have still done without it and been perfectly fine.
Right. Which now brings us on to the last thing. And now I think about it, I'm kind of glad we waited today to do this. The Superman trailer.
Yeah.
Okay, my thought. I'm going to be that guy because I kind of feel like I'm probably one of the outliers out there that's not really excited for this one.
Yeah.
Now, let me say this because it seems like if people say that they wanted to get another Henry Cavill movie, well, you're a Snyder stan. You're a Snyder stan. Not necessarily. I mean, I liked Henry Cavill's portrayal of Superman.
Me too. He was probably my favorite Superman. It still is my favorite Superman.
Right. That doesn't necessarily mean I like what Scott Snyder did with him.
Right.
Exactly. I said Scott. I'm thinking about the comic writer.
Oh, Zack Snyder. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm mad that we never got a second movie because I mean, all we got was Man of Steel, the Justice League, and the Batman was like, okay. But I was still hoping that somewhere along the line.
But Batman was not Snyderverse. It's Matt Reeves' own universe.
Yeah, true.
But I will say this, for me, Zack Snyder's Justice League movie, for me, is like, I'm sorry, it's a masterpiece, in my opinion. I absolutely.
But which one are we talking? Are we talking about the director's cut, that long ass 4-hour shit, or
the Zack Snyder's Justice League, not Joss Whedon's piece of shit. I hated that movie.
Okay.
Zack Snyder's Justice League, in my opinion, is a masterpiece. I love it.
Okay, well, we'll leave that there. But the trailer that we saw today, I will say from what everybody said about it, a lot of people are happy that we're getting a more hopeful Superman, a more brighter Superman. This is kind of coming back around to the Christopher Reeve type Superman, and I'm just, okay. My thing is, I'm still out on it right now.
Okay.
I'm still out because I'm honestly, for me, I'm not crazy about the suit, the direction that they're taking with the suit.
Okay.
I'm not even crazy with how he looks as Clark Kent because I feel like there's some old 90s thing that's going on here.
Yeah.
But
I kind of like what they're doing. It's kind of like a future retro. It's kind of both. I kind of like it.
Yeah. But the main thing that I'm not liking, why do we have to have Lex Luthor? I don't care if it's a cameo. I don't care if he's a background character. Why we almost 50 years of Superman. And let me clarify, 50 years of Superman movies since 78.
Yes.
We're actually on 46 right now.
Yes.
About to be on 46.
Yes.
We've had Lex Luthor in the first movie as the real estate mogul.
Yeah.
He came back around for the second.
That's the only thing they're not making any more of, son.
Yeah. Land. This is my thing. We had him for the first two Superman movies. He didn't pop up in the third one, thank you God, and he was in the last Christopher Reeve one. So it was like, okay, we had 3 movies of that. Superman Returns, Kevin Spacey, same thing.
Yeah.
Then Batman versus Superman? We get yet another version. I'm like, okay, folks, you have Brainiac, you have Mr. Mxyzptlk, you have so many other. You got Parasite. Now, granted, in that clip we got today, we got so many other.
Oh yeah.
Of his road gallery pop up, but the fact that Lex Luthor, I was like, can I get a break? like I said, I'm that dude.
Okay.
I'm that dude. I'm sorry if I'm pissing in other people's Kool-Aid right now, but I'm just gonna call a spade a spade.
Yeah. So honestly, I do agree to a point, but I still feel like, okay, it's still Superman's greatest foe, just like the Joker is Batman's greatest foe, right?
Yeah.
Now, every movie like doesn't feature Joker, like you said, but it seems like every Superman movie features a Lex Luthor.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not particularly turned off by this at this moment, just because they are already building something that's pre-established. Even James Gunn said, you know what? Even when this movie first starts, it starts in the action already. This is a lived-in universe, right?
Right. We're
It's
not
already
getting
lived
more
in.
story.
So I'm not really worried about them focusing too much on one character, because you already see there's a lot of different characters in this movie, and there's probably ones that they haven't even revealed yet.
Right.
So yes, they're saying that Lex Luthor is the main villain, but they never said he was the only villain.
Right.
That's the thing. So I'm realistically optimistic. That's the best way I can put it.
Okay.
So by this trailer, I'm like, I can see that they're getting these things right. Like, okay, so I read All-Star Superman, right? James Gunn said that was one of his inspirations for this movie, which I really enjoyed. All-Star Superman.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes. So also James Gunn, I like his style. I like what he does. I think he's, a really good storyteller. That's another reason why I'm not too afraid of this being, bad or people not liking it, because he also said if this movie does not do well, like word of mouth and money wise, the DCU is going to be dead. So I'm really, really, really like pushing for this movie to do well, because I want I've said this for like 2 decades. I want a good Marvel universe in the movie and in the movies, and a good DC universe in the movies. I've always loved Marvel and DC. I've never said I'm a Marvel or I'm a DC. I love both. I've always read both ever since I was 7 years old. I didn't say I like Marvel over DC. I just said I like these characters from Marvel. Okay, see, this is my DC arm of tattoos, and then I have a Marvel arm of tattoos.
Right. And I think at the end of the day, we just want good movies.
Exactly. I want to be entertained completely by my favorite genre, which is superheroes, on both fronts. I want good Marvel movies. I want DC to put out so the first, up until Endgame, right? That's when Marvel was great. Ever since Endgame, debatable, right?
Yep.
But I want DC to give me a long legacy of good shit up until whatever they do with a Justice League thing, right? Just like they did with Endgame.
Yeah.
Let me get that in a DC universe, and I can die happy. Well, because I got it in both. I would have it in both at that point. Give me that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I hope you got a long life to live, because DC's got a lot to get together.
But I honestly think this one's going to be good. And if it is, and it's successful, has a good word of mouth, it makes enough money, then they're just going to build them. Yeah. Because are you watching Creature Commandos?
I need to, because everybody keeps telling me about that.
It's really good. Of course, James Gunn is doing that too. And there's a lot of Easter eggs in that one as well that I won't really spoil right now. But that's what I'm saying. It's really building upon this pre-existing universe that James Gunn is building now, because he already said this is a lived-in DC world. So they're not doing all these origin stories. You're just being thrown in, but you'll kind of get it. Just bear with us, which they should do, because everyone knows pretty much. If you
don't know the origins of your main superheroes by now,
right? Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Everyone knows that shit. You don't need to do a retelling. So they're doing an already lived-in universe. Creature Commandos also has plenty of Easter eggs to how this universe is supposed to work, and I'm actually excited to see how it's going to all fall together.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're going to wrap here, and ladies and gentlemen, because the holidays fall next week, unless we get something really big that falls in our lap, we'll see you in the new year.
Yep.
we will see you in the new year, because I don't suspect anything will will pop up or drop. Like I said, unless it's something really, really huge.
Yeah. Yep.
So we're gonna take a tiny bit of a break. We'll return around like January the 6th or
Yeah.
so.
Something like that.
Yeah, we're not gonna be rating anything though.
Yeah.
I couldn't help myself. So thank you all for dropping in. Mike, tell people again where they can find you.
All social media platforms at Big Mike's Real Reviews. Real as in RELL. Oh, REEL. I'm sorry, like a movie reel.
Right.
REEL.
Yeah. Real, not rel.
Yes, real, not rel. REEL.
Right. And myself, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok for as long as TikTok lasts now under Harry's Cinematic Universe. And we'll see you all later.